In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at how to create a simple responsive layout in React Native, which works for both iOS and Android. Now, this video is targeted to beginners, but if you're experienced, you just might want to brush up your knowledge. This video works for you as well. So go ahead and create a new React Native project with Expo and just use a blank template and remove everything except the import statements here. So we're going to use React, style sheet, text, and view. And then we're going to create the app component in the app.js file. Alright, so basically our root component for this application. So export the full class app, and it should extend React.component. And let's go ahead and wrap this in a render method and return. And we're just going to create a simple view here. Oops. Like that. And just to try it out, we can add some text here. So let's say hello world. And then create a simple style sheet here. So let's define a constant, call it styles, equals style sheet create, which is a method that takes an object as an argument. We're gonna pass in the styles. So let's create a style here for container first. And we're just gonna set this to flex1. Then up here in the view, we're gonna say style equals width, and we're gonna set it to the container style. All right. So styles.container and hit save. And let's see if everything works as it should. Yep, it seems to be working. I can't see the text, so let's just to try it out. We can add an align items center and justify content center. Yeah, so everything seems to be working all right. So we can remove these two lines because we're not gonna need them. So this is the root component we're gonna be working with, and we're just gonna create a simple header up here in a separate component, which we're gonna import to this component. We're also gonna create a component under the header component, which is gonna contain a couple of responsive boxes that can contain anything you want. All right. So let's go ahead and write here import header from. I'm gonna create a folder called source here in just a minute, and header, and then import. Let's call this component boxes, which is gonna contain our boxes, of course. And let's import it from source/boxes. And then let's remove this text here and add a header. And under the header, let's add this boxes component, right? All right, so now in the root folder here, let's go ahead and create a new folder. We can name this source. And create a new file. Let's call this header.js and another file called boxes.js. All right. Now what we can do is let's take this code here and copy it into the header. And we can remove the import statements because we're not going to import those components to the header. And let's rename this from app to header. And remove the boxes, remove the header import, and we can keep the rest as it is for the moment. Now let's go ahead and copy this to the boxes component and do the same thing here. Let's just rename it to boxes, right? Right. So now we got this header and boxes components, which we are importing to the app.js. So let's go ahead and start to create the actual header here. So we can rename this from container to header, like that. And let's set some styles here. So we can start by setting a width. We're going to work with percentage in this case. So 100% in width. And height, let's set it to 15%. Line items, center, and justify content center, which is gonna center the content inside the header along the y-axis and x-axis, all right? Let's also set the background color here. We can set it to some light gray, let's say EEE, which is very light gray. And as you can see now, when you save the application, we're getting the header inside the application, which you can see to the left on the screen. Or maybe I'll put it on the right side. Yeah, anyway, you can see it. All right. Inside the header, let's also add a text component here. So yes, so we can see like basically what we are working with. So let's say component, header component, and wrap that up in a text. Alright, so now we got this simple header component, which is fully responsive with a width of 100%, height 15%. So it's always gonna take up 15% of the screen height, no matter the device size, right? So that's it for the header. It's not any more complicated than that. So now let's go ahead and create a couple of boxes under the header, which are gonna be responsive. So we can rename this. Let's keep it like that. We can call it container. I'm just gonna change the syntax here as well, like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to create a box here. So inside the container view here, let's create a view with a style. Let's call this box. And inside the box, we're gonna add another view, which is gonna contain the actual content for the box. And this is gonna be a style called inner. And then let's just add a text component here. Let's call it box1. Like that. So now you can see in the actual app, we got the actual box showing only the text because we haven't defined any styles for it yet. So let's go ahead and add some styles here now. So first off, for the container, same thing here. We're gonna set the width to 100%. And then we're gonna set the height. So we need the actual height that's after the header, which should be 85%, since the header is 15%. We're also gonna add some padding to this. Let's set it to 5. I'm gonna show you why later. And then flex direction is gonna be row. I'm gonna use something called Flexwrap to wrap the actual boxes. So they wrap once they get too many to be on one line, alright? So they basically get stacked to the right and then after that below each other, alright? And let's go ahead and create a style for the box here as well. So let's say we want to keep 2 boxes per row, so that would be a width of 50%. We also want to keep 2 boxes along the vertical axis, so that would be 50% there as well. And we're also gonna set the padding here to the box of 5, alright? And then let's create a style for the inner. So the part inside the box, we can set this to a flex of 1, which just means it's gonna take up the entire x-axis and y-axis of the box. And let's create a background color for this as well. We can set it to EEE as well, so light gray. And the line items, center, and also justify content. Center to center the box inside the inner content of the box. All right. So yeah, we get an error there. I forget comma right there. So let's say that. So yeah, now as you can see, we actually got a box here. So let's see what happens if we copy this box and put it below here. So you can see the second box, which we can rename to box 2. gets laid out horizontally next to the box. And if we add a third box now, since we're using Flexwrap, it's gonna wrap below the second box, right? So you can see box 3 here stacked below, and then box 4 is gonna end up horizontally next to box 3, right? So now, as you can see on the screen here, we got this responsive kind of box layout, which could be images or anything like that. What was I thinking about? Yeah, right, this padding here. So if we remove this padding, you can see between, for example, box 1 and box 2, that will mean we got a padding of a total of 10. Since box 1 uses a padding of 5 and box 2 uses a padding of 5. So between them there would be 10 in margin, right? But for example, to the right of box 2 there's only gonna be 5, right? Because it's only got 5 and there's nothing right to box 2. So to kind of reset that and make it equal all around the container, we're using a padding of 5 for the container as well. So we're getting exactly equal margin between all boxes, right? So yeah, that's it for creating a simple responsive layout. Now this works for both iOS and Android. And I hope you learned something. So thanks, bye bye.